One would expect a nation like Nigeria, blessed with natural, human, and every other resources needed for any nation on earth to flourish. There is no natural resources that Nigeria is lacking as a nation. And in fact, Nigeria has the most creative, the smartest, and the most productive individuals world over. In fact, Nigeria exports creativity and the smartness to other parts of the world. It beats the imagination of every thinking individual that such a nation depends now on palliatives and giveaways, which is a working of an APC government that has refused to eliminate the factors that create such a scenario. Welcome to the Diary of a Broken Man, where we dissect political, economic, and social issues concerning our country, Nigeria. As usual, remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and to comment. So bear in mind that the All Progressive Congress APC, which assumed power in 2015 under the then leadership of the late Muhammadu Buhari, president, has been so much associated with this giveaway and the palliative program, often framed as a measure to cushion, economic hardship, particularly during COVID-19 pandemic, and the cushion of the effect of the removal of the fuel subsidy. However, Nigerians should approach this initiative with caution due to recurring issues that undermine the effectiveness and intent. So let's look at some of the things that we should be wary about as a nation. Why would a nation like Nigeria, the most populous black nation on earth, still be living for palliatives in 2025? Why? People who were there during our independence, who were not even nations. So people like Singapore, people like some of these nations have not even gotten independence, have not even become a nation. Some of them were suffering from the effects of the World War II by the time we got our independence. And right now, some of them have become like our own safe haven. So how did we get it wrong? That is the question we should be asking ourselves as a nation. So the first thing we should be wary about as a nation is the politicization of palliative. That is the first issue we should be wary about. Palliative distributions have often been criticized for being politicized, with allegations that their relief materials are diverted to party loyalists or used for political patronage rather than reaching the most vulnerable. So the COVID-19 lockdown, we saw citizens that alleged that palliatives were hijacked by their politicians who prioritized their supporters over the suffering public, so leaving many intended beneficiaries without aid. So what should we be worried about? Nigerians should be criticized the way these distributions are not transparent, the opaque way these things are gone about. So lack of clear criteria for identifying vulnerable beneficiaries can lead to exclusion of deserving individuals. So watch for signs of favoritism, such as palliative being channeled through APC-aligned local leaders or groups rather than neutral institutions like community organizations or religious bodies. So we should be worried about this, the politicization of these palliatives. The next one is the lack of transparency and accountability that comes with palliatives, especially with this APC government. There have been consistent complaints about mismanagement and the lack of accountability in these palliative programs. For example, during the COVID-19, we all saw how items were found stockpiled in warehouses, raising questions about logistics and oversight. So after Chieftain criticized proposed 8,000 monthly palliative of the 12 million households, citing failure in similar programs under the Buhari administration, including allegations of fund diversion, we should be wary. Because there is no how I was living in Lagos in 2020, and I know how it was. And I was living close to one of the warehouses, even though I was not trained for such. But you could imagine the amount of evil in somebody's heart to hide or stockpile such amount of, indomie, rice, and so many of those, relief materials inside a warehouse, and some of them spoiled when people are dying of hunger. So Nigerians should be wary, skeptical of programs lacking clear documentation of beneficiaries, distribution channels, and the funding sources. And Nigerians should demand public disclosure of how funds are allocated and who receives it. It should be clear who gives out, who receives, because we live in neighborhoods. We should know Mr. A and Mr. B, Mrs. This and Mrs. That, Miss This and Miss That, who received these things. Unfortunately, you ask around and there is nobody who received any of these. And you ask yourself how and why. The next one is the short-term fixes over long-term solutions. That is our big problem. The APC government has prioritized fixing short-term problems, quick fix, over fixing the main issues on ground. So APC palliative approach has been criticized as a band-aid solution that failed to address structural economic issues like unemployment, inflation, underinvestment in critical sectors. Their priority is always on political optics. They want to show that they are giving away money, giving away this. Is this the level we should be in 2025? We should be talking about building roads, creating jobs, building refineries, these are the things we should be thinking about, scientific inventions. And they are still sharing palliatives in 2025. So Nigerians we should question whether palliatives are being used to distract Nigerians from deeper governance failures. Look for evidence of long-term agriculture, economic, education, and the healthcare promises that APC made in their manifesto that they are yet to do anything about. And you remember, the now president once told us before the election that by all means possible, if he doesn't give electricity, that we should not vote him. So he should be ready for 2027, that if he reneges on his promises, Nigerians shouldn't vote him because he said so himself. Time for accountability should be now. Another problem is the risk of public safety during distribution. Now, if you watched what happened during the 8,000 for 12 million households distribution, people were gathered in houses with no safety precaution, no safety measures, and the people were stampeded. About 30 people died. I still remember. About 30 people died. So people in Abuja, in Enugu, and in Anambra, people died. The APC national women leader, Dr. Mary Ali, highlighted the need for method to prevent such chaos in case of next time. So we should be cautious of poorly organized distribution of events that could pose safety risks. Nigerians should avoid overcrowded or chaotic distribution of relief materials or such palliatives. There should be safety measures. Another one is the political manipulation for political gain. Palliative programs are often timed to coincide with election periods or periods of political tension, raising suspicion of vote buying or efforts to quell public discontent. For example, the accusation of palliative diversion in Kano in 2024 were described as political motivated to discredit the opposition NNPP government, showing how such programs can be weaponized in political rivalries. Additionally, the APC history of defection and strategic appointment, like naming a former INEC official as national chairman, suggests a focus on consolidating power, which may extend to palliative schemes. So we are aware of their games, and we should be ready to play the game with them this time around. Be alert to palliative announcements that align with electoral cycles or political crises, as they may serve as tools to sway the public opinion or reward loyalists. So Nigeria should critically assess whether such programs genuinely address needs or are designed to boost APC's image ahead of the election of 2027. Another thing is to look at historical precedents of mismanagement of this same APC government. So past APC-led initiatives such as the trader money and the trader money loan programs face criticism for unclear implementation and allegation of favoritism. Similarly, the school feeding program and COVID-19 palliative efforts were marred by controversies over diverted funds and unfulfilled promises. These patterns suggest systemic issues in how the APC leadership handles welfare programs in Nigeria. So Nigerians should be very cautious of repeated promises of cash and material distribution, especially when previous programs have failed to deliver. We should be worried. So what should we recommend? If you ask me, what should we recommend? Number one is transparency. Insist on public record of palliative beneficiaries and distribution processes. Use the Freedom of Information Act, FOA, and FIA, and as a support for requesting your right as an individual in Nigeria as a citizen. Another thing is to engage community oversight. Advocate for distribution of these palliatives through neutral and trusted entities like traditional rulers, like the churches and the mosques, where we know we can get them, see them, and receive them. Let's go for that instead of APC trying to do mago with this. Let's be clear on what we are doing. And next one is to focus on long-term advocacy. Nigeria should be aiming for higher. We can't be doing sharing palliatives in 2025. By now, we should have overgrown such scenarios. What we should be going for now is for long-term fixes. Fix unemployment, build roads, build hospitals, build these things, build refineries, create jobs so that people will stop depending on the government for palliatives. And the government will stop swearing people because of palliatives and giveaways. Another one is to stay informed. Cross-check government claims with independent media and community reports in real time to avoid misinformation and lies, propaganda. The last one is to prioritize our safety. When you want to go and receive these palliatives and giveaways, be careful of your health and being stampeded because of palliatives. You see, 30 people died and nothing happened. Their family did not receive anything. They just died like that. So we should prioritize safety measures. In conclusion, I would say that APC Palliatives Giveaway Program may offer temporary reliefs. Nigerians should be wary of their politicization, lack of transparency, and focus on short-term gains over sustainable development and social solutions. Historical mismanagement and recent safety concerns highlight the need for vigilance. By demanding accountability, advocating for systemic reforms, and prioritizing safety, Nigerians can better navigate these initiatives and push for a good governance that addresses the root causes over quick fix. So we should be looking for long-term solutions of why would Nigeria be receiving palliatives in 2025? This is the question we should be asking ourselves. Why would nations like Singapore, that Lee Kuan Yew, the first prime minister of Singapore, was in Nigeria as a Malaysian, and today they are one of the first world countries, the most beautiful country in the world, basically. You go to Singapore and you wonder whether you are living in heaven. Yet in 1965, it was all, you ask yourself, how did we get it wrong? So, let me know in the comment section, how do you think we can stop this issue of sharing palliatives? What do you suggest? Your opinion matters. So let us know in the comment section what you think about this. And once again, remember to subscribe to the Diary of a Broken Man. Remember to like, to share, and to leave a comment. And I will see you on the next one. This remains the Diary of a Broken Man. Cheers.